So the first activity that we have is single table initial load and change synchronization. So that means we are configuring the initial load also, and we are configuring a change synchronization for one table. Okay, so meanwhile what I'll do is I'll bring up the VMs. Okay, so we have this ggprod, and I'll initiate this ggdev as well. So what we are going to see is we have two databases. We have prod and devdb. Just for the complexity purpose, what I'm doing is I'm using different schemas just to make sure that we can perform all this on different schemas as well. So we have a Fox schema, and on the target we have Tom schema. On the source we have an EMP table, and on target also we have an employee table. The structure is same. But what we are going to do is on the source we have an employee table with 14 records. Don't worry, we are going to create this table from scott.emp. So these 14 rows, we are assuming that once we have this table, the client is saying us that, hey, can you perform the replication for us? Okay, so the example that we have seen, the same thing we are going to do. We have a source table with 14 rows. Okay, and this is where client is saying that, can you please configure replication for us? So what we are going to do in this case is on the target we will create the blank table. That is the first activity, blank table. So once we create the blank table, we'll configure the initial load, right? This is initial load using Golden Gate. So we will again get 14 rows over here, and later on we'll configure the change sync. Change sync. Okay, what is change sync? Nothing but normal extract and replicate. So once we configure the change synchronization, we can delete the initial load because the job is already done. This is how we generally configure the replication in real time. So what is the first thing? Create blank table on target. This is the first thing that we need to do. Second, set up Golden Gate initial load. And the third activity that we have is configure change sync. Correct? And then the last one is we can delete initial load. These are nothing but initial load extract and replicate. We can delete these initial load extracts and replicate. We don't need them further. Our change synchronization will continue to get us insert, updates, and deletes. Correct? So this is how we are going to perform the activity. But again, as I mentioned, this is very simple. In the next activity, in the real time, you will understand a little more complexity. So for now, it's just plain English, or I would say plain trial that we are doing in order to understand how things work. Okay. So next activity, you will understand a little more complexity. So first of all, what I need to do is in the Fox schema, I need to create this EMP table from the scott.emp, correct? Because we don't have employee table over there. 192.168.0.181. Sorry. So let me connect to Oracle user. Oracle 123. Okay, works fine. So let us start the database. Meanwhile, let me connect to the second one, 192.168.0.182. Let us connect as Oracle. So let us start the DevDB also. So first what we are doing is on prod, that is on source, we are creating this table, create table fox.emp as select star from scott.emp. So this command you try to execute using the sys user, because otherwise we have to give select permission for the fox user if you're executing this from the fox user. So I would actually execute it using the sys user, right? So create table fox.emp as select star from scott.emp. We are creating this table. Now when you create this table, it is just a dummy table where we don't get the primary key or any other key. So what we need to do is we need to add our own key on this table. So alter table fox.emp, add primary key emp number. So I'm adding this primary key onto this table, and the key column I'm using is emp number. Perfect. So the table is created. Let us do select star from fox.emp, set lines triple line. Okay, so we have got this emp table with 14 rows on the source. Now at this stage, my client is saying that, hey, can you configure replication for me? So the condition over here is my source table is already having 14 records. So the first job is I need to replicate or get these 14 into the target, and then I need to configure the change synchronization. So to create this table onto the target, okay, first what I need to do is you can use this script. I mean, you can get the DDL command for the create table using this one, and then just execute it onto the target. It will be very simple for you guys. So on the target, just create the employee table without any data into it. Generate the fox.emp table DDL command. Okay, so I will use this one. So dbms metadata.get DDL. The table is emp and the owner is fox. So when you run this command, you will get the create table statement. This is only the create table statement. You won't get any data into it. Okay. So copy this create table statement into Notepad. I'll take a new one. Okay. So I have this create table statement. Perfect. Now what I'll do is in the above output, change fox to Tom. Remember, this will give you create table fox.emp, but on target where we are creating this table onto the Tom user, correct? So you need to change this fox to Tom, and rest everything should be fine. At the end, you can include semicolon just to complete the statement. Now create this table on the target server gg dev. So on target server, I will connect as Tom user. Okay, and let me paste the create table command. The table has been created. So employee table has been created. We can do select star from tab. You can see emp table is created, which is owned by the Tom user. Show user. The user is Tom. Perfect. So as per our client requirement, we have completed the first thing. We have created the blank table onto the target. Perfect. Now we need to set up the Golden Gate initial load. So configure change synchronization for fox.employee table. So now you might say, come on, Arun, you are saying initially we have to set up the initial load, but our step one says that configure the change synchronization first. Yes, that is how things work. To understand this, let me talk about something different. I'll take a new paint. See guys, in real time, how things work. Okay, let us not even talk about real time. Let us talk in general, okay? I have a table with 14 rows. Now, because 14 rows is a very small number, it will not affect anything anywhere. So what if I have 1 million rows? That's when the things tend to become complicated. Now understand, when you have 1 million rows or you have even more rows, then when you're trying to perform the initial load, okay, I'll just use the word IL, that is initial load. When you perform the initial load, what will happen? The initial load will eventually take, just an example, we are understanding it is taking 48 hours. Okay, now within these 48 hours, don't you think there will be any changes made to this data? Yes or no? Yes, right? There will be inserts, there will be updates, there will be deletes that will continue on this table. This is sales table. Okay, on the sales table, for the 48 hours, we cannot ask the client, hey, you know what? I'm performing an initial load. I don't want you to perform any activity on this table. This is something not a business case. Then it is not a highly available environment because your table is not available for 48 hours. So you can't tell something like this to your client. So what you can do? What is the workaround for this one? The simplest workaround is you configure the change sync on the source. That means you configure the extract. Okay, extract will write the data into source trails, and then you have data pump. Data pump will push the data onto the target trails. Okay, and on the target we have replicate. You will not start the replicate. This is how it will work. Okay, so let me talk about how it will go, I mean, in real time. I know guys, it will be a little bit confusing, but just try and understand. See, first what I'll do is I will configure the change synchronization on this table. Okay, so that means at 10 a.m. I started the change synchronization. So I configure the change synchronization. So from 10 a.m. I'm getting all the transaction, whether it is insert, update, or deletes, whatever type of transactions they are, I'm getting these transactions ready onto the target where replicate is not running. Replicate is down. Okay. And meanwhile, what I will do is I will shoot up the initial load. So I start the initial load also. So let us assume the initial load is started at 10 a.m. and same at 10 a.m. I have change synchronization configured. So what will happen after 48 hours? When the initial load completes, I have the 48 hours of data within these target trails. Correct? Because for these 48 hours, we have transactions going on onto the source. So the extract will continue to extract the transactions during the initial load phase. That is, for the 48 hours, while the initial load is pushing the data from source to target, my extract is also extracting the insert, update, delete simultaneously for this duration of 48 hours. Right? So once the initial load completes, we will immediately just start the replicate. So what replicate will do? It will try to replicate all the target trails onto this table. That means the 48 hours of changes will be applied, and later on things will be exactly in sync with the source. So you might say that, come on, Arun, it will take a lot of time for replicate to again push these target trails, and then it will take a lot of time for Golden Gate to come in sync with the source. Yes, it does take time, but Golden Gate is very fast. The replicate is so fast that it will push off these 48 hours of transaction within just hours. Maybe it might take 2 to 3 hours to push all these transactions over there, and then your source and target will be in sync. So that is how things work. Okay, so what have we learned? What have we learned in this one? The first thing is configure change sync before initial load. That is the first thing. do not start Replicat. Why we are not starting Replicat? Because see, again, when the source rows are not same as target rows, initially it will be 0, right? So when the source rows are not same as target rows, then how can you start the Replicat? Then start initial load and finally start Replicat. You have to start Replicat only when it completes. Okay, wait until it completes. You have to wait until the initial load is completed. Perfect, guys. So the same thing we are going to do right now. Again, you might have a lot of doubts over here. So once you start working or once you practice these activity labs, it will be easy for you guys. So first of all, we need to configure the change sync for fox.employee table. So what we are doing is we are configuring a normal extract and Replicat. So let me exit. We'll go to Golden Gate home. This is my source, okay? DB login, user ID. So info all things are down. So don't worry about those abandoned processes. I'll just start the MGR. MGR should be up and running. On the target also, what I'll do is I'll make sure the MGR is running. DB login, user ID, start MGR. Okay. So manager is running. Perfect. Add table level supplemental logging to the Golden Gate. Now we are configuring the normal change sync. So that means we need to have table level supplemental logging added over there. So add run data fox.emp. So we have to add these table level supplemental logging. This is done. Perfect. Now create Golden Gate extract process. We need to create the normal extract process. This is not your initial load extract. This is normal change sync extract. So how do we add the extract process? Add extract. Okay guys, over here I have used the naming convention. Don't worry about it. We have a separate session where we'll understand the naming process or the how you should name your Golden Gate processes. So P as in production, this is prod DB. And then Fox is the schema name, E as in extract, and 1 is the number. So add extract pfox E1, then integrated run log. That means I want to configure an integrated extract. I want or I will be starting this extract immediately. I want it to start immediately. So begin now. Extract has been added. You can check this one in info all. You can see pfox E1 is added. Perfect. And then we know that for an integrated capture or integrated extract, we need to register it with the database. So just register this one with the database. This will take little time. Next, we need to create the local trail file for the extract process. So add ext trail. The naming convention I'm using is prod, P as in prod, F as in fox. So PF, and I'm adding it to extract pfox E1. Okay, so the extract file is added. Now I need to create the parameter file. This is the normal parameter file for the extract process. Nothing but, see, the first line would be the parameter, the extract process details, then the database Golden Gate admin details, extract trail, and the table details. We are extracting fox.emp table. Perfect. And now we need to create the data pump process. So add extract. We know that data pump is a secondary extract. Over here, P as in prod DB, Fox is the schema name, D as in data pump, and 1 is the number of processes. So extract tail source. In the above, we have created the source trail file, right? So this trail file becomes the input for the data pump process. So make sure it is under dir dat and the naming convention is same pf. So let me add the data pump process. Okay, and then I need to create the remote trail file, nothing but the output for this data pump process. So add remote trail, and if you see this one, this is RF, nothing but remote server and for the Fox user, and I'm attaching it to pfoxd1. So let us add this remote trail file. Now edit the parameter file for this data pump extract. So extract name, the Golden Gate user ID password. Now because this is a pump process, I need to give the details of the remote host, that is ggdev, and the manager port on which the manager is running. What is the remote trail file name? It is the same name that we have defined earlier, the remote trail file. And for which table I want the transactions to be put onto the remote trail file, that is fox.emp. Very simple. The same, you have to put it over here. Now on the target, I need to create the replicat process. Okay. If you look at this one, what all we have done, we have configured the extract, we have configured the source trail, we have configured the data pump. Now we have, okay, we have also configured the target trails. We are about to configure the replicat right now. So on the target, we need to get inside the ggsci prompt. Okay, we are already in. So add replicat. This is D as in dev server, Fox is the schema, R as in replicat, 1 is the number of, or the numbering we are giving to the replicat process. Integrated, we want integrated replicat. So extract trail, nothing but what is the input for this replicat process. So the RF, nothing but remote trail file for the Fox user will become source for this replicat. Okay, so replicat has been added. Now what you need to do is you need to edit the parameter, because without parameters nothing will work. Replicat name, Golden Gate user ID password, assume target defs. This is by default you have to use when source and target table structures are same. And then we need to map the fox.employee to tom.employee. Correct? Remember our tom.employee is empty. Fox.emp has 14 rows. I'm talking about current state. Great. Now start manager on source and target. We already have manager is running on source and target. We'll verify once again. Info all. Manager is running on source. And then again info all. Manager is running on target. Perfect. Next, we need to configure the initial load extract and replicat. Looking at our diagram, we have configured the replicat. Okay. And now we are configuring the initial load extract and replicat. Only two things we need to configure: extract and the replicat. There's no pump, there are no trail files. It is just direct, simple parameter files. You can see we are adding an extract, we are editing the parameters, we are adding a replicat, and we are editing the parameters. So simple. It's just straightforward. Okay. So now, how do we add the initial load extract? Initial load extract is simple. Add extract, extract name, and then you need to use this keyword called as source is table. When you use this keyword source is table, it tells Golden Gate extract that it is initial load extract. Okay. So this is an interview question. How do you define initial load extract? Or how do you tell extract that it is for initial load? Okay, so in this case you have to talk about this keyword source is table. So when you use this keyword sources table, that means this extract is for initial load. Okay, this is not a normal extract. So let us add this extract on prod. That means I need to add this extract onto the source. But before that, let me open this PPT. Can you see what I'm doing is extract? Remember, for the initial load extract, the source is always the tables. It should read the data from the tables, correct? So the same thing I'm doing over here. Add extract init LE. Init means initial, load L means load, E means extract. So that's the naming convention I'm using over here. Add extract initial load extract init LE and the source is table. Okay, add extract init LE source is table. Now one thing I would like to tell you guys is if you type info all, you will not see this initial load extract or replicate in this output command. Okay, you will not see this one in the output command. Why? Okay, this why means it should go to Oracle, but you won't get this one in the info all. If you want to see the data about the initial load extract, you need to type info init LE extract name and then you will get the details. So I'll come back to this one later. Now we have we have added the extract initial load extract. Now we need to edit the parameter file for the initial load extract. So edit param initial load extract. In this one, let us analyze this file. First one will always be the process name, Golden Gate user ID, and I mean the admin details. Now this one, if you see, this is something I'm giving directly the details of the remote host and the manager port. If you look at this line, remember this line we used to define in the data pump. But in this case, there is no data pump. We are directly defining the replicate. So that's why it is remote host, ggdev, and manager port is 7809. Now over here, this next one, remote task. What I'm saying is like what has to be done onto the target. So on the target, I want that replicate should be started. And what is the name of the replicate? Init load R, nothing but initial load replicate. This is LR and current one is LE extract. Okay, so don't worry about this group because in Golden Gate you can also have groups of processes. So if we use group or just a name, it is just one and the same. So you have to use this keyword group in this syntax. Okay, so what is the group of your replicates? I don't have a group, I have only one replicate over here. Sometimes if you have group of replicates, then you can use star. Let's take you have R1, R2, R3. So rather than writing all those replicates, I can use star. Okay. So but I don't have so many replicates right now. So init LE. And the table that I want to extract the data or the existing rows is from fox.emp. So this is the parameter file for my initial load extract. So what I have done, I have defined the extract parameter file, which is extracting pre-existing data into the fox.employee table. And I have also defined that the replicate must be started, also given the name of the replicate to the initial load extract process. So now you might have a doubt, why are we giving this detail? Because if you start the initial load extract, it will automatically start the replicate for us. We don't have to start the initial load replicate onto the target. So that way it becomes very easy for us. Now let us add the initial load replicate. So add replicate init LR, initial load replicate. And then you need to use this keyword called as special run. So when you say special run, that tells the Golden Gate that this replicate is for initial load replication. Okay, like how we have sources table, that is one keyword for the extract. For the replicate, we have special run to tell that, okay, this is a initial load replicate. Now edit the parameter file. It is very simple. See, process name, Golden Gate admin details, assume target defs, and then just map the source to target. Very simple. This is exactly same as your normal chain sync replicate. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to start the initial load and chain sync simultaneously. You remember, see, we configure the chain synchronization before the initial load. Do not start the replicate. Okay, we are about to come. Then we need to start the initial load and then we need to start the replicate. So when I say do not start the replicate, that means I need to start the extract. I need to start the data pump, right? Okay, the same thing we are going to see right now. So start the initial load and chain sync simultaneously. This happens simultaneously. Okay. So first start the chain sync extract and data pump on source. This is something we have to do. So first of all, what we do is okay, where is that document? This one. We will start the extract, we'll start the data pump. Okay. Because we want to capture the transactions that happens during the initial load. In our case, see, we have only 14 rows, so there might not be any transaction during the initial load, but in real time there might be, right? So this will start capturing changes while we perform the initial load. Do not start the replicate at this point. Don't start the replicate. We need to only capture the changes and keep them. We don't want to apply those changes because those rows are not available onto the target. After initial load, we can start the replicate. So on the source info all, you can see pfox d1 is there, pfox e1 is there. I need to start pfox e1, that means extract. I have to start, then I need to start the data pump. I want the captured changes must be pushed onto the target server in the target trail files. That's it. Okay, both these processes are running. So execute the command 2-3 times just to see whether any process is abandoned or not. So you can see both of them are running. That means everything looks to be fine. Correct. So now before I start the initial load, whatever transactions are happening, they will be captured by this extract and data pump. Now start the initial load extract. Remember, this will automatically start the initial load replicate onto the target. We don't have to start the replicate because in the parameter file of initial load extract, we have defined this RMT task, right? This remote task will automatically start the replicate for us. So what I need to do is on prod, I need to start the init LE process. That means initial load extract. But before I start, I want to make sure something. Let us get into SQL Plus. So select star from, or I would say count star from fox.emp. Okay, this is on the source and I will go on to the target also. Select star from tom dot, sorry, tom.emp. Okay, 0 rows, perfect. So once we start the initial load replicate, initial load extract, it must get us these 14 rows first, and then we can start the chain sync replicate. So I'll exit, db login user ID. So info all, I can see that chain sync extract and data pump are running. And on to the target, I won't get into the golden gate on target. We'll start the initial load, start init LE. Okay. So once you issue this command, immediately type info init LE. Okay. So we can see that this process is directly stopped. It is not yet started. So start init LE. We'll see if there is any issue with this one, info init LE. Okay, so this process is not starting for us. We need to check the issue with this one. there seems to be an issue in this case. So now when you have this kind of issue, you cannot check the report file. Why you cannot check the report file? Because the process is not yet running. For example, view report init le. Okay, so we have a report file. So we have this one, error reported by manager, access denied. Okay, so this error should be with 11.2 version, not really with 11.1 version. But why we are getting this with 12.2 version? We have this error which is reported by the MGR, that is access denied, not really in 12.1. Okay, so what is the process name? Yeah, view param extract init le. I'm just checking whether things are fine or not. Extract, okay. User ID, OGG, password, remote host, MGR port is fine. Remote task, replicate, group, initial load. So table fox.employee, okay. No problem, guys. Let us resolve this issue. So what I'll do is, first of all, I'll take a quick break and then we'll be back, okay? Okay, guys, so I'm back. Don't worry, I actually stopped the recording. So now to work around this error. Okay, first thing what you need to understand is this error we generally get in, it was introduced in 12c release 2, but I don't know why we are getting in this version. So what I'll do is will work on this error as per the 12c release 2 workaround and see whether we are able to solve this one or not. As far as I know, you should not get this error in this version 1. But if you're getting, there is a very simple workaround. The thing in this one is like, see, our extract is directly talking to the replicate, right? So we have a manager level security that has been added in 12c release 2. I will still check why we are getting this error in release 1. We should not get eventually. So we assume that this is release 2, okay, if it is not, and then try to work around this one. So the extra added feature in release 2 is we have to authenticate or we need to allow which process or which external process is talking to the manager. In this case, our extract is directly speaking with the replicate, right? Via the manager remote host and the manager port. But this process needs to be authenticated, or this source machine needs to be authenticated by the manager onto the target. Okay, so what we can do is exit. So db login, user ID, OGG, so info all. So edit param mgr. Now in this one, what you need to do is, remember first time I told you like only the port details are enough to start the manager, but there are a lot of other details that you can put in manager. You learn it with your experience. Now this access rule, this is a new feature which has been introduced in the release 2. Let us try with this one. Access rule, we have to define the program which we want to allow. So I don't have a specific program. I'm giving it a star. I want that every program is allowed to speak with this manager. Then IP address, I'm again giving it a star. I want like all the IPs are allowed to talk to this manager, and then allow. Okay. So I have defined this access rule. Now refresh MGR. Okay. Remember guys, sometimes you cannot stop the manager because in real time there are other processes that are dependent on the manager. So what you can do when you edit the parameter file of a manager, you just issue this command refresh MGR and the manager parameters will be updated. Okay. Because if at this stage, let us assume this is a production server, if I stop the manager, then what will happen? All the dependent replicates will be stopped, right? Okay, so at this stage, we will get back to our starting the initial load and chain sync. So what we have done earlier is we have started the pfox, we have started the extract process, we have started the pump process, but we did not start the replicat process, correct? Replicat is still stopped. So what we are going to do right now is now start the initial load extract. Remember, this will automatically start the initial load replicat onto the target. So on prod_db, just start this initial load extract and info init le. Now can you see the process status is starting? Okay, this is perfect example. Can you see running record count is 1 and now it has been stopped. Can you see? It was a perfect example. We could see everything. So status changed from running. Okay, earlier it was stopped, then running. Over here it read one record from sources table, and then now it is stopped because all the 14 records are read. Perfect. So that means our workaround has worked, correct? I mean the manager details that we have edited. Now on the target, I will do info init lr, that is initial load replicat. Can you see it is stopped and actually you won't see any details over here. So how do we validate? We need to get inside the database. SQL plus slash sysdba. So select count star from tom.emp. Now can you see our initial load has got us the 14 records. Earlier, how many records we had? We had 0 records. So our initial load, extract and replicat has worked fine. Great. Verify on target if all the 14 records have been loaded on target table or not. Yes, we have verified. Now you can simply start the change sync replicat. So because our extract and data pump are already running, so these extract and data pump have already captured and pushed the changes which happened during the initial load, correct? Now what I'll do is I can just simply start the replicat. So start dfox r1. Now dfox r1 is running. So what we'll do is we'll try to make some changes in the primary or the prod_db and then see whether they are being replicated on target or not. So connect fox/fox. So set lines 999. 999. Select star from EMP. So let me delete from EMP where EMP number is equal to 7934. I'll commit this transaction. Transaction is committed. So that means on target this record must be deleted, right? So let me exit. SQL plus slash sysdba. Connect tom/tom. Set lines 999. Select star from EMP. Okay, so we are yet to see this record. Now, can you see? Just now, I mean, earlier we had 14 rows, now we have 13 rows. So meanwhile, while we were just logged into the database, the Golden Gate has replicated the delete from source to target, right? So let me exit. So our process or our configuration has worked fine. At this stage, you can delete the initial load, extract and replicate process as they are no longer needed. Okay. So guys, what I'll do is at the end of the document, I'll put the error in case if you get the same error like the error which I have got, you can use the workaround. If you get below error while starting the initial load extract, add below line 2 ggdev mgr db login view param mgr, and then ggsci refresh mgr. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll include a screenshot. I'll include a screenshot of this mgr port, I mean these details in the document. Perfect. So only in case you get this error, then only you do this workaround. Also update me if you guys are not getting this error, then we'll see what we can do. I actually need to check this one because this workaround is only introduced in 12c release 2, but that's okay. It's good that you are learning it earlier. Right guys, so this is very simplest way to perform the single table initial load and also the chain synchronization. This is just a practice lab. But how it is done in real time, that's a separate case. Maybe in my next video, I'll talk about it. Okay. So till then, take care, guys. Bye bye.